So I wanted to come on here and go off on you, Matt, because on episode 61, I was still talking when you ended the show.
We had to go.
I'm like, hold up. And then I look and it said 91% recording complete. Downloading complete.
You were still talking.
I was still talking.
Me and E, we were out. We were the software was loading up. You were still going.
I'm
man,
still
we got places to be.
So I was like,
what point are you trying to make? If I hope your point is fantastic. If you went from talking about whatever you was talking about at the end of last episode, and you wanted to start this podcast, by all means, finish your point.
So I was like, yeah, I'm about to come back, start episode 62, hardcore, just to be continued of what we talked about from episode 61. And then the big thing happened, and I completely forgot what I was about to talk about. So nonetheless, what do we do here? We're going to start the show on talking about none other than Phil Brooks. Take it away, Matt.
Just when you think like it can't really get worse, or it can't be any more than what we've seen already. We are 9 months into the year, and this is absolutely the story of the year in wrestling. Had a lot of them. This is it. And then you let the Sports Illustrated state that Punk is going to come out with a statement that is deemed to be explosive. We have not seen that statement yet, but if he drops that statement before All Out tonight, maybe coming from an interesting crowd perspective. Before we get into all that, let's start with, it is Sunday. It is Labor Day weekend, so happy holiday to anybody who celebrates that. Probably more importantly, happy All Out Day for anybody that celebrates that. But probably even more important than that, because we just came off of All In. Happy last Sunday before NFL football for some months. We are back. NFL, I put my bet down Friday night. Detroit Lions winning the division. My bet is locked in the FanDuel. We will see if that was a smart bet or not. He's just showing off the bobblehead right there. We are back. I am super excited for it. But we are here to talk about wrestling. And Eshaun, boy, oh boy. Let's get the particulars and all that out the way. This is episode 62 of the TFW podcast. That's Freakin Wrestling. You guys know us, Three the Hard Way. Eshaun is here. Rhodesia is here. I am here. Matt, if you don't know, CM Punk has done it again. I guess really this time we can't say CM Punk has done it again. Tony Khan has done it. Let's real quick. Everybody knows at this point what happened. Tony Khan on Saturday releases a tweet that blows up social media. Last time I checked, I think it had like 10 million impressions, that he has decided to fire or terminate CM Punk with cause, meaning that there's reasons for it. He shows up on Collision. If you want to see the entire 6-minute speech that he had, you can check out our Twitter page at That's FNW. I'll put the whole thing up there. He kind of showed it also, or he talked about it at the beginning of Collision. And the crowd response was interesting, for sure. Let's stop there. I'll just stop there because those are the facts. Those are the complete facts that we have. He showed up to Collision, told us what was going on in the live crowd. You guys saw it at home on TV. Let's stop there and let's just talk. Thoughts?
I was so incredibly happy that Tony came out. One, any heat that needed to be dispersed should have been targeted to him. Right or not, right or wrong, he should have taken it. I don't think the talent should have been the brunt of this shitting on. So I was, one, very happy that he came out and did that. Two, I thought just even how he mentioned in his tweet, hey, this was done on an independent team that I never knew they had, but whatever. He said it was made up mainly of lawyers and attorneys, but at the end of the day, it was his decision. So to me, I was absolutely impressed that, one, he made it sound like this was my ultimate decision. And then secondly, I love how he talked about how this is he's like a family businessman, that everything he's learned was from his father. And I'm talking about what he said to the live crowd. I don't know what he said on TV, But to the live crowd, he said this is how he pretty much he operates. So just overall, him coming out, taking heat for like 6 minutes, to me, that says a lot about a leader. And that made me feel really good. And by the end of that monologue, as I'm going to call it, he actually had the majority of the fans for him and cheering for him.
Yeah, I saw the video you guys posted, and I was kind of surprised because I was actually napping at the time, and I woke up and saw the text messages and the tweets that Phil Brooks was fired, and I was really taken aback, but not 100% surprised after a lot of the details or more information came, even after our last conversation, right? More information was kind of fed out to us. I think it's sad that it came down like this. I think it's sad for AEW. I think it's sad for Phil Brooks. I think it's sad for wrestling. I did find it slightly amusing, right? Because I'm listening to Tony Khan's message when you guys posted it. You know, he was very upset. He had the microphone and he's like, guys, I had to come out here. Well, I fired Phil Brooks. And as the crowd started booing him and he started speeding up, and I had to, with the wholeheartedly, and never in my life have I felt this way. That I felt my security, my safety. I had to fire Phil Brooks. Just asked, I got to go. Here, I got to go right now. I'm like, go on, Tony. You're right. He got to go. Because after all the information was released about kind of how Phil's reaction backstage, it was quite alarming. So, let's keep going. I'm really, really interested in you guys' live experience. So what did you guys feel live in the moment as he was talking?
Live in the moment, I give him a lot of credit. He deserves as much credit as the blame I've given him for not taking a bigger stance on this for a year plus. So we got to shout him out for that. I gained a lot of respect for Tony for coming out there and facing that crowd. He could have easily had this in the tuck and then waited to tweet that out Monday morning. And it would have been like, damn, okay, so you didn't do it while we were in Chicago, but okay, whatever. And we moved on. He faced it. And probably the best thing of it was when the crowd started booing. I'm not sure if this got on camera or not. The crowd started booing, and he basically was like, nope, I understand. Give it to me. Like, I get it. Yep, I understand. And he just kind of kept saying, like, and the thing about Tony is we always talk about how, like, everybody says just how nice of a guy he is, how much of a sweetheart of a guy he is. I am sure it broke his heart to disappoint the fans, let alone the business decision that comes with having to fire your number one merch seller, your number one ratings draw. You kind of can look at that, you know, with maybe him and MJF, the guy that you just gave an entire television show to. So take the business part out and just say, as him as a wrestling fan, I am sure that had to be really hard for him to come out there and tell Chicago, of all places, I know a lot of you are probably here for this person, but I had to do what I had to do. And I'm sorry, but blah, 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 blah. So I give him much, much, much props on that. Now, what I will say, too, though, is there could be maybe some legal speak in there. I can't speak for another man. It would just be hard for me to believe CM Punk could have done anything back there to make him feel like his life was in danger. That's the part where I'm like, damn, that's kind of thick. You really put that on a little thick, but I can't speak for him, right? We don't know exactly what happened. We heard that there was minors end up, you know, on his lap or whatnot, but I can't speak for that. I do know that they were saying CM Punk lunged at him. And I think Dave Meltzer came out, you know, last night or early this morning and said that saying the word lunge was really downplaying what CM Punk did to Tony Khan. Now, if that's the case, you got to go. I think we all know, all right, it's time. What's going to be interesting, though, is what led up to this to get so fractured that there was no coming back from it. And what was on that video that the lawyers, because think about it, if nothing happened outside of some suspensions, quote unquote, from Brawl Out last year, and we know people got injured in Brawl Out, nothing came out of that really, This one must have been a doozy because CM Punk has been fired. We don't know about Jack Perry yet. They haven't stated if he's reinstated or how long he's going to be out for or anything like that. So it must have been pretty bad. It must have been really, really bad. And then you kind of think to yourself, okay, what does the future of AEW look like? Once again, Collision was his show. I just hope, me personally, and we can really get into what the future looks like for AEW. That's not just like a 30-second answer. I hope it still keeps the same flow that I've loved from Collision without Punk. I guess probably now we'll see really what his influence was on that program. But I think that's a really, really big situation. I think tonight at All Out, because last night there still was only about 5,000 in the crowd. Tonight they're looking at 10,000. So you're doubling what was last night. So it was smart to do it yesterday, give people 24 hours to digest it, et cetera, et cetera. But as I started saying, if Punk comes out with some type of crazy statement that is going to galvanize his fan base, tonight could get nasty, potentially. But no, shout out to Tony, man. I really respected him coming out and doing what he did. But he's got to still own it, because I still feel like a sit down a year ago, a sit down when he first came back and said, look, guys, we got to get this hashed out. I don't care what needs to happen. We're not leaving this room until y'all can at least share a locker room together, be cordial, be respectful.
But this whole last set of round of people,
never happened.
These whole last set of round of people, though, wasn't the Bucks and Kenny. It was your Jack Perry and the young boys who don't like these old school G's.
But it's still bubbling, is what I'm saying. Like, it never became, all right, we can all still work together. Then there was a report that came out. There was supposed to be a sit down with Punk, the Elite, and Tony Khan. It was scheduled last week, supposed to take place in Atlanta. So I'm guessing maybe it was supposed to be after Dynamite, the one you went to, and before they went over to England. And then the word was at the last minute, the Elite can't pull it out of the meeting. So if you take that into consideration, Punk may have been frustrated, like, damn, I'm trying to sit down with these guys. They don't want to sit down. Mm-hmm. Because there has to be much more to this story than what we know. So you take that into account. Okay, we're supposed to sit down and have a conversation before the biggest weekend of the year for this company. Didn't happen.
He didn't get picked up from the airport properly.
Well, yeah, true that.
But we add all this stuff on top of it, and he's heated.
Go ahead.
Oh, and then you mentioned something about Dave Metzler. I can't ever say his last name. Dave said that the lunge is kind of taking it lightly of what really happened from what he's saying. Maybe that's what they saw on tape. Maybe it was something that was much more aggressive than that. And you do got to go. If you're ready to attack the boss, you got to go. I don't care
Sports
what place
Illustrated, Justin Barrasso had a really good article that he released today, and he stated that the fight with Perry was not the only reason why Punk was terminated. That was one of the factors. What he said in his article was the other factor was Tony Khan could not calm down CM Punk after it was over. And their verbal back and forth. Also got to remember, too, we heard the report of CM Punk saying, I hate this place. You can't keep somebody there that says that. Ain't no coming back from that. You can't, because then you look like, I don't even know what the word would be to the other wrestlers who aren't pro CM Punk in the back.
He's not a leader. Why would I work for this guy outside of them giving me a paycheck? Why would I want to work for him? Why would I want to give him anything extra than my minimum? If you're going to let this happen over here. And the one you just gave a show to is saying that I hate this place.
You know what? Like, I've kind of defended CM Punk on a lot of these things, but I've always said that as an older man, that he should be a little more mature and professional the way he handles these situations. And that's something he has to look in the mirror. He has to answer to. Like, and I get there's frustrations because we are frustrated with different things in our workplace and coworkers and bosses, et cetera. But we don't lunge and almost attack our bosses and think that's cool and we can get away with it. Because at the end of the day, he is a leader in that locker room to some, right? So if he can get away with that that's setting the precedence for that company. So first and foremost, before we're talking about Tony, because I think that Tony has some blame, and leadership in the company overall has some blame in this. So at the end of the day, it comes down to Punk, and he wasn't professional in the way he handled a lot of these things. It doesn't matter how frustrated he was in the events. He got picked up. He didn't get picked up properly. He got lost and yada, yada, yada. But you look at the small things, right? He got his own show. He was able to go on his show and throw a verbal shot at the Young Bucks with no repercussion, right? After a show, I don't care about if he was concussed or he was loopy or whatever it was, he threw another shot at Hangman, right? One little shot at him spirals him out of control to the point that he
and to that point too, it wasn't even, he didn't say CM Punk cry me a river. He just said Real Glass cry me a river. Punk has made an entire career on subliminals and winking and talking to us as the hardcore internet fans that only know what you're talking about because we are knee deep into this. That wasn't that much of a situation to where this should have happened.
That would have went over a lot of people's heads, right? Because I actually, in the moment, I remember him saying it, but it flew right over my head to where it didn't really affect me, right? So one little jab at this man spirals him out of total control. That's a problem. That's a CM Punk problem, right? That's a CM Punk problem. Now, with that being said, if you know that this man, let's just say what it is. He has some emotional issues at this point. He has some trust issues. There's things going on with CM Punk that he has to answer for. And I hope that he's getting help that he's necessary. He may listen to this and say, you're out of your mind. But let me tell you something, CM Punk, like what we've heard about you and your interactions with people and how you handle adversity is not the correct way that a mature man your age should handle things. Period. So I hope he's starting to get the help that he needs so he can kind of handle these issues, so he can have more productive ways of dealing with things. But at the end of the day, Tony could have, a year or so ago, nipped a lot of this in the bud. Like, I don't think the original root cause of the issue was ever fully addressed, at least not fully addressed to CM Punk's perspective, right? And so then at some point he felt like he had to kind of go into business for himself to kind of make himself feel better about the issue. When he came back from the injury, that's when TK, CM Punk, the Bucks, whoever should have said, hey, this is a clean slate. Let's air everything out. Let's fully hash out all our problems so we can move forward productively. And it sounds like this never happened. Or maybe it did, and CM Punk kept it escalating. But when he came back from injury, this should have been a clean slate. And it sounded like it just was a continuation from their previous problem. It was never handled properly. And now we're at this point to where, Collision, which was one of my favorite shows, right? I would say maybe my favorite show on wrestling right now. And the leader of that show is no longer there. He's a big merch seller for that company. As polarizing as he was, he definitely was a needle mover for the company. Now he's gone. And now the company has to pick the pieces and move forward. And there's a lot to be said for that.
I'm just going to say I told you so. Told y'all so. He should have never brought CM Punk back. I was never ever on the bandwagon of bringing him back. I thought he should have stayed away after everything happened at Brawl Out, and he showed me his level of pettiness at the scrum. When he showed it to us, point blank, I don't care. You have to have some decorum as a man. And how he reacted at the scrum, I told y'all, he lost, in my eyes, I lost respect for him. And again, who am I to Punk? Nothing probably to him. But for me, he was a lot to me. I liked him. I actually did love him. And him coming back, I got caught up in all the goosies and stuff like that. But when he showed his ass out, no, thank you. And AW, Tony Khan should have never brought him back. And I know what y'all said. He's a needle mover. Which he was. And he the number one selling merch, all that. But he should have never brought him back. I feel like now we're 1 year behind again. Even so much that Ricky Stark's talking about it on Collision. Not to jump to Collision, but it's like, I got to start all over again. Got to do this all over again. And there was so much passion in his voice when he talked about that.
It was interesting too with Stark's promo. Because if you didn't know, you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
What are you talking about? But you know,
I even went back and watched it. I even went back and watched it after Payback last night. I was like, let me just see if maybe I missed something being in the crowd. And no, like him, bigging up Big Bill, talking about the things you've gone through, you would be like, what is this guy talking about? But I think we all knew what he was talking about was I get a chance out here, and once again, that chance falls through.
Yep. Some
I wasn't on
adversity.
All In. I was supposed to main event All Out, and now look what happened, and it's not even because of me. But he definitely got it. Ain't Punk in terms of being Punk in Chicago, but boy, he has a pretty damn good consolation prize tonight with Brian coming back.
I popped so hard,
so that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So with Punk, and this doesn't mean Punk's a bad guy, right? Like, we've met Punk before, and it was like one of the coolest conversations, interactions I've had with a wrestler. Yeah. So I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think something really bad, I don't know what it was about that Hangman promo, but it seemed like they never recovered from that.
Mm-hmm.
E, to your point of him throwing those shots at the Collision promo, his first promo back,
which I hated.
There's just a lot. You kind of look back now and you say, damn, him showing up to WWE Raw in Chicago. Remember when he was backstage?
Yeah.
And the call was made to Vince, and they're like, hey, he's got to leave. Now, looking back at this, was that premeditated? Because we all know Punk is extremely smart. I don't think he does anything, maybe besides what happened at All In, that he doesn't really think through. Was that hey, look, I'm trying to get out. Is there an opportunity here? Because I think there's got to be a conversation had with WWE and Punk. And we don't know what his non-compete looks like. We don't know if there even is a non-compete with this, but there's got to be a conversation. But how long has he been thinking about this? Because now, knowing this, and now that he's fired, we could probably go back. If we want to continue to go back and look and say, oh, man, he may have been trying to get out right here. Oh, man, he knew what that would do.
He's planted. Yep.
Yep. Oh, man, he knew if he said this here, if he acted this way here, there's a chance that he can alienate someone else. It's sad. It's just sad because we knew it wouldn't work without a sit down, and they never got to the point or a place of a sit down. I see some people online who are like, hey, this is great because now the cancer is gone from the locker room. AEW can get back to being AEW. And I think that's a loaded statement because the locker room was never perfect. No locker room is. We just don't hear about the stuff that happens in WWE like this. But let's not forget Thunder Rosa and Britt and all that. So it's not perfect. But it wasn't also Skittles and Rainbows either without Punk. We had a rough patch of AEW programming after All Out last year. Punk wasn't on TV. So it's not like, oh, man, Punk came in and everything just went down and now he's gone and everything's about to go back up. Tony's got some really big decisions to make about the future of AEW. So let me ask you guys, how does this change AEW as we know it?
I feel like we just going to rewind a year ago. I mean, it's just like this whole thing was just a blip and we have to start all over again.
But you can't say that because now you got Collision. You didn't have Collision a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your favorite saying that you say to me at home is you call up Mercedes and Edge and say, hey, I got a show for you for Saturdays. You bring them over.
Saturday night.
It's all yours. The show's all yours.
I think Rhodesia's right in a lot of aspects. It kind of goes back to where they were a year ago. I think that Tony Khan is going to put more pressure on himself to do more, to create more, and be more involved, which is sad to see for me on Collision. I think that, Punk was heavily involved in how that show was structured, and it was a very structured and organized show, I felt like. When I listened to Ricky talk, I knew immediately as a fan of Ricky Starks, I knew exactly what he was talking about as far as starting over, because that's one of the things about AEW is that you can start off, you can have a hot program, and then all of a sudden it cools down immediately afterwards. There's no follows, there's no contingency plan for you afterwards. You kind of fall back down the pecking order. Mm-hmm. And finally, Ricky Stark had some focus. Like something, there was a plan in place for him. And with a lot of those guys on that show, especially on Collision, there was a plan for those wrestlers, and you could see it from week to week. I don't know if we lose that on Collision, because we don't have it on Dynamite. So I know that Bryan Danielson is heavily involved in a creative as well. Hopefully Tony understands that, hey, he needs some help with all this content that he's providing, and maybe Bryan gets a bigger task on some of this creative. Hopefully he hires some additional creative people to kind of help with these shows, just to kind of get it back to where it needs to be. And I hope, from a structural standpoint, I hope he hires somebody. I think Christopher Daniels is head of talent relations or something like that, right?
Yes. Yep.
Well, hey, I'm not saying he needs to be fired, but he needs to get some help. He needs to get like another team in place around him. Somebody they can trust, somebody they respect, that can lay the law down in that locker room, because they definitely don't have it right now. They haven't had it in quite some time. All the stuff that's going to be coming out. We talk about CM Punk so much. It's not just CM Punk. There's been things going on in that locker room forever. You look at these matches. They kind of do whatever they want to do. You got guys wanting to use real glass in matches for whatever the case. I'm not sure why. They need to get somebody in place. I don't want to call them a security team. They need to get like some bad guys installed in that locker room and in that leadership program to kind of ruffle some feathers and get these guys in line. Because there's a reason why in WWE you don't hear a lot of these things, because it's not allowed. And if it does happen, they're out of there really, really quickly. In AEW, everyone got loose mouths. The mouth is just like water. It's just, everything happens. We all hear about it. We hear all the details. And it's sad that AEW had their biggest show, arguably the biggest wrestling show in history, and we're talking about everything other than that big show.
They have done a really good job of keeping that show alive on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talked a lot about it in Dynamite. Even though in Collision, Kevin Kelly made a couple comments about All In. So I do like that they're keeping that alive, because it was only a week ago today, but it feels like it was fucking months ago.
It does.
Yep.
Because of everything that's been going on with this Punk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I asked, like, you know, how does this change AEW? You hope the locker room, and you don't have to like each other. I don't want a kumbaya, right? I'm not saying that, but you hope that they look at this as an opportunity to elevate the company. It's a big blow to miss CM Punk. He is not somebody outside of, so yes, Rhodesia did say it. My thing is, okay, that phone's got to be ringing for Edge. We know there's already a Mercedes deal in line. She's just got to get healthy. But maybe that deal looks a little different now. Maybe before that deal was, we'll share you with NJPW, wherever else you want to do. Hey, we'll still share you, but we need you the majority of Saturdays now. Mm-hmm. And this can be your show, along with Edge, along with whoever else they can pull. And then I think you'll be okay. But this is a massive gap. This is not just going to be business as normal. There are people who were watching AEW, I think, solely for CM Punk. I also think there was a lot of people, though, who watched AEW that hated CM Punk. And I didn't realize how divisive it was until
last night.
Well, no, before last night. I put up one of my jokes on Twitter a few days ago. And the amount of people under my tweet that was just like, CM Punk can be fired. I hate CM Punk. CM Punk needs to go. I was like, whoa, okay.
He's polarizing.
I didn't know it was to that level. I thought it was kind of like a gimmick. But no, there's people really didn't like him. It just sucks. It sucks because, man, there was so much they could have done with the heel Punk. There was so much they could have done with the tweener Punk.
Yep.
I mean, it's such a missed opportunity, but it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. Now, he is officially terminated. What chances do you guys put him in WWE in the foreseeable future?
Hey, real quick, though, I don't think Edge and Mercedes make up for CM Punk on Collision, in my personal opinion.
I wonder if Edge can. I think maybe them combined, maybe. If Mercedes was coming right off of Sasha Banks from WWE, yes, she would. But we know a lot of times just in life, out of sight, out of mind. And I think the majority of casual fans have not kept up with anything Mercedes has done since she debuted in New Japan in January. So for them, they haven't seen Sasha, Mercedes, in over a year now, probably, right? Yeah, because her and Naomi walked out in August, I think, of last year. So she's been gone now for officially a year from mainstream nationally televised in the United States TV.
I think Sasha Mercedes wrestling talent can make up for Punk, and then Edge's mind can make up for Punk. Again, we're booking this here saying that both of them would come, but I do think that the two of them together would make up for Punk because Christian Edge has so much in his mind. Even though I hate on him all the time, he's a great wrestling mind, completely wrestling mind, and Sasha just still goes in the ring. So I think the two of them could make up for that.
Because for me, it's not the wrestling on air aspect of where Miss for Punk. I think it's going to be his influence backstage,
and I think it's Edge.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I mean, we'll see, right? I just haven't. Right. We've never seen Edge in that kind of role,
and it could be too. Right? It could be too.
But maybe could he be worse than Punk. I don't think so.
Maybe Brian has much more influence than we know on Collision. He was there last night. Collision still felt like Collision to me. E, did you watch the show?
Did
it feel like Collision to you? Still like format and everything?
I wouldn't say it felt different, but you know, it felt a little off, not with Punk not being there and with everything going on. So for me, I'm gonna have to watch it a couple more episodes to kind of fully, because I'm still kind of like, you know, I understand Punk had to go, right? Because definitely he had to go, but it's still from a man. We've had so much. I don't want to say this is as big as, you know, losing Bray and, you know, Terry Funk. You know, the Bray thing really made me sad. I kind of wanted to detach from wrestling for a little bit. I'm a real big fan of his since he was so young. But this is another thing, man. Like, damn, now we done lost CM Punk on Collision. Like, right, they couldn't make this thing happen. You know, it's just more. I think it's just more sad news in wrestling. And you know, I know Rhodesia was like, you know, hey, they should have never brought him back. I think, look, people deserve second chances. Like that dude spazzed out at an interview. And they kind of let it happen. So I feel like you kind of can learn from past experiences. Like, hey, Tony, hey, I can't put certain individuals in these situations, right? Because they're going to hinder themselves and the company. Mm-hmm. Noted. Got that, right? Hey, Punk, when you come back, this is how we have to move. I was hoping that on that second chance that things could have went better, and they didn't. It actually got much, much worse. And I don't think the company is any better for us. I feel like it's just kind of sad for me. So like when I watched the show, I was kind of like, you
it's
know,
a downer. It's a downer.
And then they're promoting like this show that's coming that's tonight, right? And I don't really feel that great about it.
It's a downer.
I feel much better about All Out today after going to Collision yesterday, for sure.
I do too, because now you got Brian on there. They added a couple matches. I just saw they have added. I mean, this isn't going to add any buys, but they just added a over the top battle royal for 0 hour. And whoever wins gets to donate money to their charity of choice. They haven't said yet who's like in it or anything, but
and Athena's on, although it's dark
yep,
0
so
hour.
On, yep, so she got on 0 hour. So yes, I was on the pod with my guys over at OTM, and we talked about how is Athena still locked behind a paywall. So at least she's on 0 hour. That's great to see. We still only have one women's proper match on All Out. I think that's a miss, but I'm happy that we still have that. They did some good things on Collision with Outcast. Mm-hmm. Just Outcast, they crack me up. Yes. Like they're pretty good, but it is sad. But I'll tell you what though, I kind of felt like on Saturday when I read that, after I got my jokes off, I kind of felt like a sigh of relief. Like, all right, we can breathe now. Like it's over. Because it felt so burdened. It felt like way down on Dynamite when we were in the crowd on Wednesday, which, that was the least attended AEW show I've ever been to. Now Arena holds about 11,000 max for wrestling. There was probably about 4,000 people in attendance. Typically, they're going to get, 8,000-9,000 to an AEW show. And the crowd just wasn't lively at all. And I think a lot of it was Punk for sure. So last night was a little bit better for Collision. They still probably only had, 5,500 people in attendance in United Center. That's a pretty sizable miss. They should have 10,000 at All Out tonight. So that'd be fun. But last night was kind of like, okay, Wednesday felt like a grieving. Like we were at like a wake or a funeral. And then last night was kind of like, some anger in the crowd, but okay, it's time to kind of move on.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight should be interesting to see what exactly the crowd reacts to the Bucks. On TV, it sounded like more boos than cheers. From where we were sitting,
It was more
they
cheers.
got a nice reaction.
Yeah.
They got a nice reaction when they came out to make the save for FTR at the end of the main event. WB was also told last week that the soft split is ended. That's probably what I'm more worried about.
Exactly, because so
Take
now
away
the question of
CM
is
Punk.
Collision going to be the same now that you're saying that the soft split is
That's
done?
probably what I'm worried about. This cannot turn into Rampage Part 2. I do not want to see storyline start on Wednesday and then it converts over to Saturday, like the same week. Nope. I really liked how Starks was able to shine. I liked how Christian was able to get a lot more time. Punk. Collision has done some really Jay White, Bullet Club Gold.
Bullet Club Gold.
Powerhouse
got some shine. You're doing something with them.
So still, let's try to keep it separate.
House of Black. You saw them every week, pretty much on that show.
Now, I do think there is a world where this can still work without being a soft split. Think about all the talent they have, and if it's at the disposal for every show, then you say, man, like, okay, this could work. But I just don't want to see storylines continue and people still not be put on television.
But here's the thing, guys. Like you talk about that Dynamite show, right? It was least attended. Man, they're asking a lot out of you guys' market.
Yep.
Right. We got 3 shows, right? 3 shows, and look, the economy the way it is right now, things cost a lot of money right now, right? So now you're in the same market for 3 major shows. That's asking a lot.
We had Collision here in July, Punk's return. We had Dynamite that Wednesday before.
Yeah.
That. So to your point, it's a lot. It's fatiguing. It's fatiguing, especially.
And you think about the people that was there last night and Wednesday night. At least half of them probably bought all in. So that's still another $50 that you're talking about that you're dishing out. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fatigue factor is real too, right? Because we just had an 8-hour event with All In, right? Then we had Dynamite, then we had Rampage, and then we had Collision. Now we have another pay-per-view we have to focus on. I mean, they're asking for a lot of mental and financial investment into that company right now, right? And with the All In show, they're asking us to open our wallet again. Right, spend another $50. Oh, and by the way, 90% of the matches, I'm going to tell you what they are. A day or 2 before the show. Like, that's a lot.
And it would be okay if they were dream matches, quote unquote. Right, which is why Forbidden Door works. But we'll see what the buy rate is. The buy rate's going to be low. I do think they added some things this week that's going to help the buy rate. Mm-hmm. The show's going to be great. The show is going to be great.
But you know what I'm sad about?
Decent.
You know what I'm sad about?
Average.
Like,
what's that?
Shane Taylor, man. I love Shane Taylor, man. More props to this man. I think he needs to be on TV more. I think he's a legit. I think he reminds me, like, I think he has a great matchup with Samoa Joe. Because Samoa Joe, man, his promos are so real, man. I love his promos. I know we're gonna get to Collision at some point. I love his promos. He just comes across like a legit badass. He looks like a legit badass. Shane Taylor, and I hate when people do this to us, right? But Shane Taylor is like the black version of Samoa Joe. Like, because he's a big guy who speaks very believable promos, has a very aggressive style.
Feels
can
real.
Go, right? He is like a traditional wrestler, quote unquote, right? But it seems like he was just kind of thrown out there. Now, if you watch ROH and you're spending $10 a month or whatever it is to watch ROH, maybe you're kind of invested in that feud. But for the vast majority of us, I don't think the big audience AEW knows who this man is for that to be a buying point for the show.
That's a match that, because we're going to be in attendance, I'm really excited for.
Yes.
If we weren't going to, and I know Shane Taylor, but that's a match that if I'm on the fence on buying the pay-per-view, that ain't going to move the needle for me. But that's how I feel about a lot of these matches. The 8-man tag with Bullet Club Gold, FTR, and Bucks. The match is going to be fantastic.
Well, that has high profile guys in it, at least.
It does, but that's still not a match where I would say I gotta buy the pay-per-view for it. When that bell rings and the match is over, we're gonna be like, damn, they did it. That was great.
Well, no,
but
no,
it's not
no,
gonna be.
No. I probably would. If you're talking about FTR and Young Bucks teaming up, I probably would buy that pay-per-view. You can get
it's
some
not coming off
of
All In for me. Not coming right off of All In.
I'm not saying not for me particularly, but I could see me being somebody who said, "Oh my God, Young Bucks and FTR teaming up." You know, like last was it Dynamite? They tried to shake his hand and they left off, and then last night, Young Bucks tried to shake FTR's hand and FTR left out. Like that would get me to buy it. Maybe not.
I agree with you, Rhodesia.
But somebody would.
I think that's what they're going for too. It's the dream match, quote unquote, them teaming together. You know, I think that's what they're going for. But damn, what if they kind of built towards this? Like, right? Like, what if we had like it was a proper build to this team, right? Versus something they kind of threw together the day before the show, right? Hours before the show, I guess, in some instances.
Yep. And we'll talk our Wednesday pod. It'll be a lot of All Out review. I don't want to talk too much of All Out now because a lot of times about you guys listening, show's already over. Last thing on Punk, and then we can move on. Of course.
Oh, we didn't answer your question.
Yeah,
I asked the question. Yeah, what was your
question?
Do you see CM Punk back in WWE?
I'm gonna just stick to it and say no. I do want to say one thing because I give him so much heat. I think when Punk left WWE in the way that he did and how he left, I think however he rectified that whole situation in his mind, he said to himself, I will never, ever let a company do this to me again. So that's probably where I felt like maybe he had a chip on his shoulder going into AEW. It was something that he heard a lot of buzz about. He heard Tony was a good guy, so he wanted to go over there. And then anytime something came up that he didn't like, he's like, nope, I'm going to nip that shit in the bud right now. I'm not going to go through what I went through before. So it kind of calloused him. So I do want to give him not props, but I want to give him let him know, or kind of I understand maybe why he was a little more hardened, maybe why he probably is a little more petty, why he's a little bit more, no, I'm going to get exactly what I want because I pretty much was in hell and misery at WWE. I would never let that happen again. But to answer your question, no, I do not want to see him in WWE. I didn't want to see him back in AEW. Let him find something else that he wants to do. If he want to create his own company, his own show, do something with his wife in wrestling, go for it. But no, he can't work for somebody else. He has to be his own, the boss himself.
Oh, you had some. I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I do. But
go ahead and get it off. First. Go ahead and get it off.
He knows he can't pull this in WWE. This wouldn't even be a thing. None of this would be a thing. That ain't happening there, and he knows that. He knows that.
So then he shouldn't go. Then he shouldn't go.
No, but I think if you look at it from his perspective, he could be so frustrated with the immaturity of the company to say to your boss, "I hate this place," and then I'm gonna go work a match afterwards, and a great match. The disdain you must have, and we don't have to belabor the point. We talked about it though. Even last night, when the Bucks did come, made the save, Matt Jackson did like a run around the ring, and you could perceive that as, oh, that's like a victory lap because Punk's gone. And he did it in Chicago. There was just so much, bubbling under the surface here that you could look at that as Punk and be like, I hate this place, man. Like, they're immature. They don't know how to do business.
I didn't see that.
Hey, you saw your boy Cash with the Wakanda, right? You saw your boy Cash with the Wakanda. He sure did.
As soon as they walked out, Willer was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hit that for you.
Yeah. Did you say he left too, right? You say he left right afterwards?
Say again?
You said Cash left right afterwards? You saw him getting in the car after the show?
That was the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that was the beginning. Oh. We got to the building super late. We got to the building like 6:40. And bell time, of course, for Collision was at 7 Central Time. And Matt is like, That's Cash. And I'm pulling into like the parking lot. I was like, whatever, dude. He's like, no. He always thinks somebody looks like somebody. Like, that's like his thing. Anybody he's ever seen, he's like, oh, doesn't he look like Drake? Oh, doesn't he look like whoever? So he said, I was like, yeah, Matt. I'm like, sure, Matt. The show starts in 20 minutes, but Cash Wooler is over. He's like, no, I'm serious. So we get out the car, we park, we walk. And I don't know if it was an Uber or what, but he gets in the back seat of this car and they're driving. I'm like, well, I know he's not booked to work tonight. He didn't have any bags with him, but it was 100% him. So I don't know where he went before the show, but he showed up.
Oh, he went to go load up. He went to go load up.
I was like, oh, I was like,
oh,
real quick. Like, damn.
Y'all fire Punk? Okay,
bet.
I'll be right back.
That's crazy. But no,
I think we didn't just snitch on him.
Sorry.
I want no smoke.
Phone calls will be made. Phone calls will be made from WWE or from CM Punk to WWE, and we'll see how that plays out. But I do know for a fact there are people in WWE that does not want him there. High profile talent that do not want him there. That's a shoot. So Triple H always talks about what's best for business. Is it best for business to keep him away from WWE, or is it best for business to have him come into WWE? But there will be conversations for sure on that front. But I can guarantee we won't have to worry about any of this type of stuff happening if he went to WWE. Last thing on Punk, and then we can move on. Wade Keller had a PW Torch update, and this is really interesting. It says here, there's more about the CM Punk situation that has not gotten out yet and could come up at some point. Keller talked about the incident between Punk and Khan that Tony only told people about. He said, my understanding is that there was something behind a closed door also that may come out or may not, depending on how all this plays out. When Punk quit and chewed out Tony, there was an element of that was not in front of dozens of people that others have said they're trying to get confirmation on, but I'm confident and based on my sourcing, which I won't get into, I think there's other elements other than it was just monitors. The closed door incident is separate from what happened in front of witnesses as was described on the internet. So if you let Wade tell it, there was another piece to this. And maybe that is where Tony Khan states that he felt like his life was in danger.
See, and when he said life is in danger, I thought he meant like death threats of like fans. I didn't know he meant like literally.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was talking about backstage.
Punk. Yeah. Wow.
You know what? I think there might be some HR terms to that because I, to be honest with you, I was involved in a situation to where there was somebody who left a job, right? And they had sourced that, hey, I feel that they say my life was in danger. Said something about my personal security is risk or something of that nature. And we're like, what the hell? Like, ain't nobody about to go beat your ass, nothing like that. What's going on, right? Mm-hmm. But that one phrase allowed that team member to leave and not be held accountable. Like, you know, it's like it's one of those terms to where if you say this, my life is in danger, or my life, it gives you liability, or it doesn't give you liability to make a certain action. So at the end of the day, who knows? But I'll say to answer the question about if Punk can go to WWE, I 100% agree with you, Matt. This stuff wouldn't happen in WWE because they have a strong leadership and support staff there that wouldn't allow him to get that way, right? Because they have plenty of people who don't get along there, right? There's Charlotte and Becky got into an incident, right? That was the probably the biggest beef that we knew of in the recent memory, right? But you think
Charlotte
about Punk.
Nia. Remember, we saw that live on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we're live. Yeah, we saw that live, and they worked it like another match next week, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then back to the curtain. It was kind of like, all right,
it was put to bed, right? So, but I do remember, Punk saying that WWE took his joy of wrestling from him, right? And whereas wrestling for WWE was more of a job, and prior to that, it was fun, right? So that has to be in the back of his mind as well, that this company took so much of the joy away from a career that he loved. Right. And he thought he was going to regain that in AEW.
And he did.
And he did for a short time, right? Until it hit the fan. And I think Rhodesia is 100% correct that, he felt that, hey, in this moment, I took these things from WWE. I was put in situations that I didn't want to be in. Never again am I going to let somebody put my back against the wall. And that hardened him to the situation. But at the end of the day, he should be more professional and more mature to be able to navigate through those waters, period. And I think if he were to go to WWE, he would have the leadership and structure in place that would let him spaz out like that, right? And if he did, there'd be consequences, and he would know that firmly before he signed with the company.
And there you go. And you know why he knows it? Because you ain't top dog here.
Right.
You're one of the top dogs.
Yep.
Roman Reigns the top dog.
This is Roman's place. This is Roman's house.
Cody Rhodes.
This is Cody
the top
Rhodes'
dog.
new house.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get you ain't getting on no press conference after Royal Rumble with Triple H sitting there doing anything like
No,
you did
Taker will
at
take him
All
out.
Out last year.
Not Taker. I'm sorry,
You know what
Triple
I'm
H.
saying? So,
Triple H will take him out.
Yeah, that's not good. He knows it. Once again, he's
And
a smart guy.
Triple H is totally, and this is no slight to Tony Khan, right? But if CM Punk was sitting next to Triple H and he was trying to have that same kind of conversation during that scrum, Triple H would not let that fly.
No,
that would not happen. It wouldn't happen.
But to be fair, Triple H has been around the business 30 plus years. Tony Khan is only now going on his 4th year or 5th year. As he'll learn from this, and hopefully nothing like this ever happens again. Hopefully for us, outside of Wednesday, because we know if let the internet tell it, we're going to be able to dissect Punk's speech or statement, and we can have that conversation on Wednesday's pod. Hopefully for us, unless we're talking about after that. Oh man, Punk is signed to WWE. The Punk conversation like this is gone. This is not.
Hey, I wouldn't mind it though, Matt. I wouldn't mind seeing him back in WWE. No, right? Because I kind of feel like all right. So he had his last match was with Samoa Joe, which like I didn't know anything was going on after watching that match, right? So he had a great match. He won the match, but as a fan, like he can't go out like that, right? I need him to go out in a positive manner. Even if he has like a short-term contract with WWE, like maybe it's a 6-month contract, maybe it's a year contract. Like they have some parameters. He gets to work with certain talent, etc. And then he leaves the business in a positive note. And maybe he has such a great experience that he stays around long enough, right? Because at the end of the day, Hogan left the company under extremely bad terms, came back. Warrior came back 1,000 times. Like, right? Sable.
Don't forget about Brett.
Oh, Brett's the biggest one, right?
Sable.
Like Sable,
we can go on.
Brett. It's
Goldberg.
all these guys.
Don't
These guys all come. Goldberg. These guys are always. Because the only person that didn't come back, God vs. Soul, is Macho Man Randy Savage, and we never find out we never knew what the real beef was between Vince and he, right?
So do y'all think it was because he slept with Stephanie?
I think we know what it was from. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
What it is or no?
I'm gonna say yes. And there's a big age gap between the two of them.
I mean, that man will be in jail though, because she was a minor at that time.
I'm guessing not, because that never came up. I don't know how the math would work.
That was a rumor, right? But she had to have been a minor back then.
In 93?
Yeah.
Whatever that was. A minor?
Minor. She had to be like 15. Yeah, she had to at least been like maybe 16, maybe.
16.
Maybe 16.
Consent age.
Depends on the state, though.
That's true.
Interesting. Yeah, but that was the big rumor. That was like that's why he never came back. All right, let's move on. Let's have some fun with Payback. We talked about the show, and I jokingly called it In Your House because it was one of those shows that I felt like, just from a card perspective, it was a missable show. We said, hey, we knew that the work would be good. It's WWE PLE. The work is going to be good in the ring. Did the show for you earn the name Payback, or are we still calling it In Your House?
I got to be honest with you guys. I was really surprised. I really enjoyed the show.
Oh, okay. So you said I got to be honest with you. So did it mean you've lied for the last 40 minutes on the pod, or
it's been a couple of caps. It's been a couple of caps.
Right,
in there.
Okay,
but a couple of caps. But this was a really great show. I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I thought it was a great show. Starting with the Becky and Trish match, guys, they put on a nice little match.
Hold on a second. You know what I gotta do. I just got one question. Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus. Where the hell has this been for the last 5 months?
Oh my God. They saved it off this match.
Boy, did they kill.
And how clean was the match, bro?
Superseded expectations. I knew the match would be okay to good, because I'm like,
I didn't.
This is the blow off. It has to be. I'm like, it just has to be. Man, we are talking about a legit match of the year candidate. A legit match of the year candidate.
Oh my God. And that's the spot where Trish, where Trish was hanging off the top of the cage and her head's, oh my God. Like, man, like just the skill it took for her to hang there and not fall. Cause if something could have went awry, she would have fell right on her head.
Mm-hmm. And then you transition that into the superplex. They did it.
Oh man.
They did it. I love the Zoe Starks interference, and it didn't cost Becky the match. And now, man, my girl Trish is by herself.
Hey, let me ask you. Hold up, Matt. Was that the best superplex you've ever seen? Or was it up there? Was it up there?
The best? No. I've seen some incredible ones. Orton has given some incredible ones. Shawn has given some incredible ones. I mean, no, it's not one of the best ones, but it was very impressive. It was very impressive. Rhodesia, I think you may be out on an island. You said you don't think it was match of the year.
I do not think that it was match of the year. I thought it was an incredible match. But you say match of the year candidate, and the reason, okay, let me take that back. The reason why I don't think it is for me, just because the first few minutes did start off very slow, and looking back at the entire match, it probably was just her filling them out. It's probably Trish's way of telling the story. Hey, we're going to build up to it. Because once they took off, they took off. I give that match an A+. But again, I'm not going to say match of the year because in the beginning few minutes of the match, I was like, uh-oh. I was a little worried because Becky took a lot of beating. Trish didn't get any interactive with the cage at all. So I was worried in the beginning that this was going to be just what I thought they were going to do. But then when it picked up, it definitely picked up. The homages they did to Victoria and to Lita, I thought was great storytelling. So I thought it was a really great match, not match of the year candidate, just because I was worried in the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't know about match of.
I can't argue with somebody.
I don't know about match of a year. I don't know about that, but it was a really good match though. It was probably one of the better women's matches that I've seen in some time. Because I was invested. And so, full disclosure, when this came on, I'm like, all right, this is modding time for me. Like, I'm putting on, when something pop up, I'll take a couple of notes here and there. This is modding time. It's just kind of background noise. But I literally stopped what I was doing at some point. I'm not sure when I did. I stopped what I was doing, and I had my full attention on this match from start to finish. I was fully invested in it, and I haven't felt that way for a women's match in quite some time, especially for these gals, because I wanted more out of the show, out of their feud, I should say. I just felt like Trish is a heel. I felt she was doing a great job. I'm a fan of Becky. I think Becky looks the best she's ever looked. I had a lot of high hopes for the feud. And as Matt and I talked about previously, like, look, we're looking forward to this thing being over. Yep. So for me to get full investment into this match was really something for me. Great match.
Best women's match by far since Charlotte and Rhea at WrestleMania night 1. We know that. Are we going to assume we're going Zoe Trish next? I called it. I was right on Becky and Tiffany, and I am so here for that. So here for that. Tiffany looks just like a star.
And that's going to be really good. That's going to escalate like her development and being able to come up on the main roster and actually stay there and just develop more into her role, being able to have Becky there with her.
You're driving more viewers to NXT. You're going to make NXT even better with Becky being there. I think that is a beautiful call because right now there's nothing really else for Becky to do on the main roster on Raw. So do you guys think it's Zoe and Trish?
It gotta be
like immediately, or do we see Trish gone for a while or what?
While I think is relative, but I don't even know the name of Zoe's move. I don't want to call it the go to sleep, but she made Trish like go to bed because that was nasty at the end of last night.
Damn, my girl all laid out, and I'm just sitting here like, this is the last time we see Trish for a while. Like I went from being super excited to like when seeing her lay there, like I was like, hold on, what y'all trying to say?
Yeah, like that move was sick. Like Zoe was like, I apologize afterwards, but you about to eat all of this.
She took all of it. That's the way you take it. Everybody in the locker room, because that move has not really been taken the best since Zoe's been on the main roster. That's how you take it.
Yeah, because I'm like, wow, like I thought it was a whole different move because I'm like, Zoe saved like the best for like Trish, like, but no, Trish got to get back on that for sure. Again, relative as far as soon, by the end of October. Yeah, so within a few weeks, I think so.
Oh, okay. What do you think is next for Trish? Are you going Zoe?
I'm not. I don't know if Zoe is over enough now for to be in a feud with Trish, because I think that I think it'll be better, and my hope is more for Trish to kind of go away for a second and come back, right, and maybe get in a feud with someone else. I think they need to kind of get away from the three of them. Let them kind of do their own thing, get some momentum back. I'm not really that interested in seeing a face Zoe.
Same.
Right? I'm not.
Yeah, I don't want to see a face Zoe, and actually, I don't want to see them feud right now. To me, it felt like her hitting her with her finish last night was the period of that.
Yeah. Hopefully, that's what I was hoping.
She said she ended Trish.
Yeah, I hope not. Trish got a lot of. Hey, thank you, Trish.
Thank you
for everything.
Thank you,
Trish.
Yeah.
You did that.
I was
Bravo,
mad.
ladies.
I was getting mad because I was like, she better not take another move off the top. But remember last night, I was like, Trish, don't do it. You did it once already.
He's grabbing the pop.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Trish. Thank you.
I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it again, Trish. Don't do it. You don't have to prove anything to us. You've shown that you can go. You can do a steel cage match.
What's next?
Hey, so let me real quick. Is this yes or no? Real quick. Was this the best? Was this the best women's match of the year?
Again, what Matt said about Rhea, and Charlotte, that was at Mania. That was pretty epic. I don't know.
It's probably between those two.
If they argued it, I can't argue with you.
Outside of Bianca had a fantastic match earlier this year. I can't remember who it was against. Her and Io was really fun at Backlash.
Yeah, that was a good match.
It's top 2 or 3. It's top 2
I think it might have been my top. But speaking of like top guys or top guy, John Cena's back. Right? We had him as the host of Payback. And
it was funny. When he came out, I was like, dude, you're like 20 minutes too late, man. You should have started the show. Like,
you should start the show as the host, right?
He's coming out talking about, I'm the host. Like, man, look, we've already got a match in. Like, dude, we just...
I didn't think that was weird. I didn't think that was weird. I'm like...
you should introduce the show, right? Like in a video package or something, but we didn't get to see him.
But we saw, of course, why. Because it led to him refereeing Miz. But when he came out, I was like, dude, this is late. I'll tell you what was funny, though. And it, like, legit popped me. I laughed pretty hard. When he told Miz, you still got it. Once again, I'm guessing, especially those two guys, they're not talking over word for word their promo in the back. It's like, we're going to go out there, we're going to set the match up. And for him just to, like, laugh and kind of say, like, you still got it. I thought that was really good. Before we get to LA Knight and Miz wrestling, let's rewind 48 hours ago to the promo battle of Miz and LA Knight on SmackDown. LA Knight, everybody knows I am a massive LA Knight fan. You are not disguising anything with me, sir, with your line to Maurice about if you can't take care of her, she can call me, whatever that line was. You are not using that line to show the real that Miz gave it to you and handed you your ass again on the microphone.
But that was all you could do. You could go.
And I thought it was even clearer on Friday that Miz smoked him than it was the first time. And I thought Miz smoked him. And there's nothing wrong with losing a promo battle to the Miz on the microphone. Miz is one of the best talkers we've ever seen in wrestling. But he got him again. And I was like, this is really, really interesting because the Miz is making him work, man. He is really, really making him work, and he is pushing him. So I just wanted to bring that up. What did you guys think about their promo exchange on SmackDown?
You nailed it. Once you got to talk about somebody's mama or wife, it's usually like you kind of conceded defeat at that point. Because that's the only other thing I can say. That's the last thing I have in my back of tricks to say, okay, well, your wife can call me if she needs me.
But I think I said this from the get. Like, I don't know if, well, I haven't seen LA Knight on this level, right? But I don't know if he's a battle rapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he, like, you got them good, them dudes who can make a nice song, and you know what I'm saying, they can come out a couple of hits, but then you got them battle rappers, and I don't think LA Knight is a battle rapper. Like Miz is. Miz been doing this for a long ass time, so of course he's gonna eat him up, and he's been doing this at the highest stage for at least what? Like Miz has been out here. Is it 10 years now?
Way longer
More
than that.
Well, I mean, like in the when he won I feel like that run he had to the championship the first time is that's when I count Miz as being like that guy.
So then you're talking at least 13 years because that was Mania 28 with him and Cena.
What year was that?
Rock as the host. That was 28. So we're on 40 now this year.
Yeah.
So whatever year that was. So he came in as champ. So you're talking maybe a year before that. So to your point, I mean, he's been doing it a decade plus at the highest level. And you can see the gap. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it was so funny, me going on social media and watching everybody just gravitate to the Maurice line. I'm like, he may have y'all food. He ain't got me food because the Miz gave it to him. And then you see last night with Cena, and then after Cena told him, like, you still got it, it was another line that Miz hit Cena with. I was like, damn, man, like, Miz is really good on the microphone. He's really good. Yep.
He's great.
So what y'all think of the match?
I just want to talk about the end of the match. So if y'all want to talk about the middle of the match first, go for it.
I thought the match was better than I thought it would be. Because, like, again, we talk about putting respect on Miz's name. He doesn't have bad matches. But I feel like most of the time for me, his matches are just there. He has that certain style that's okay for me. Like, right, I don't want to say it's borderline skippable at times for me. And I feel like LA Knight wrestles that same type of style. They wrestle this very, I don't know what to call it. It's a very, very WWE style, slow pace.
It's deliberate is what it is.
Yeah.
It's deliberate. It's a deliberate, methodical style match. The match was a little bit longer than I thought it needed to be.
Yeah.
Not that it drug. I thought the match was good.
I thought it was fine.
Really,
I thought it was really
solid.
Yeah,
it was really solid. It did what it needed to do. It was funny because there's a point in the match we're watching it, and you guys may remember. So they're outside the ring. LA Knight hits Miz with like a clothesline off the barricade, and then he sticks his pose, and he sticks it for like 5 seconds. And Lil Matt's like, man, he must think this is like a TV match. That's a go to commercial spot. And I laughed for like 3 minutes because it looked just like a commercial. Hey, he hits it and we go to commercial for 3 minutes. And then right after that is when him and Cena went face to face. I was like, oh shit, he's throwing away his entire face run because he thinks they're not on TV because he does think this is a TV match. He's so not used to wrestling on pay-per-view. He thought it was a TV match. And then when they come back from TV in his mind is when he started to come back. I just thought that was hilarious because he stuck that pose for a very long time. Like,
no lie. Because when I came back from the bathroom, you was like, "Oh, just so you know, we just came back from commercial break." And then you told me the whole story.
That was so funny, man. But we know. So LA Knight wins. I did think the other part that was funny. Everything that was not supposed to be entertaining was entertaining.
Don't steal my thunder, Matt. Don't steal my thunder.
We know Cena.
Don't steal my thunder.
We know Cena's very loud when it comes to calling spots. And LA Knight had to tell Miz a few times some spots. It was one time Miz was like, huh? It was the spot where Miz shoots, or LA Knight shoots Miz into the corner, and then LA Knight's supposed to go kind of over the top of him. It was a little, go back and watch it, you'll see it. But he tried to call that spot twice. He said it one time. Miz didn't hear it. He says it again. He shoots him in. Little bit of a snafu there, but I died laughing at that too. I was like, this is hilarious and fantastic for all the wrong reasons.
What would you have done if John Cena had called it for him? Like he
said, we all know Cena's the loudest talker in the history of wrestling. You can, if you are in the building, you typically can hear the spot that Cena's calling. Cena is super loud.
And he has no care in
Man,
front
oh,
of his
man.
face to cover it or anything. You just hear all of it.
Body drop. Stay down. Stay down. Shout out to Cena, man. And then the last thing, I don't know, Rhodesia, if you're going to say this or not.
Yeah, do not steal my thunder.
Go ahead. Take it.
So I love, if I could get it out, I loved how Cena damn near killed Miz at the end of the match. So I don't know if y'all paid attention because the camera work was a little bit. Cena pushed the shit out of Miz out the ring. So much so he had to hurry up and get out the ring and come and apologize to him because he wanted it to be LA Knight's spot so he can have the limelight. But when he pushed the shit out of him, and little Matt was like, "Wait, what just happened?" Like he tried to kill Miz.
Oh my God, that was so funny. So yeah, at the end of the match, this now it's time for LA Knight to hit the ropes, and you get the big pop, and you get the awesome camera shot. And typically, that's a camera shot of just the person in the ring. Miz didn't get out of the ring fast enough. Cena puts the shit out of Miz. And then you see Cena go over to Miz afterwards. I'm sure he was like, "My bad, man, but like this is LA Knight's like shine. This is his time. Like I had to get you out the ring." But you would have thought, man, like it was a Royal Rumble or something the way he pushed him out. Oh my God, man, that was so funny. And then Cena, of course, gives him the shout at the end in the ramp where they go face to face and they shake hands and tells him this is his moment. I thought that was really cool. But hey, this is your moment. And then Cena walks out. But man, Cena is just so over the top. Even the way Cena grabs his hand and then points to him. It's like, Cena, chill, dude. Cena is the absolute GOAT of just putting everything over the top. And I guess maybe that's why he's where he's at now. But I could have stopped watching after this match. And I would have been highly entertained.
Perfectly fine.
I could have went to bed.
Like for real though, for real. When at the end, right when LA Knight goes into the corner to do his thing after he wins, that's when the camera went back to the ring and you see Miz laying on the ground. That was after the fact he got pushed out.
Cena was like, "Oh shit, let me go check him."
Now, if you go back and watch it, you're gonna have a newfound laughter about that whole moment because
oh my God, man.
Hey, do you guys think this is over?
What?
He beat him clean. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why you need to go back to it. And that's what I was thinking about too. He beat him clean with his finish. It's time to move on.
Because there's a lot of back and forth with Cena, Miz, and Knight they can kind of go back to. Right?
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Why do you think? What was the point of that? They went face to face twice, Cena and LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that when he's arguably your hottest wrestler? Well, not arguably. He is your hottest wrestler. Not maybe the most popular, but he's your hottest wrestler right now. Why have him go face to face with the legend Cena, who's a face right now, here only back for a few weeks? What's the point?
It may not be a Cena versus LA Knight feud they might be going for. They might be looking for a team up. Right?
Okay, which I mean, anything that can help. And I'm sure Cena's probably like, who can I help elevate while I'm here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because
the face to face is what's tripped me out. Because I'm like,
yeah,
face to face now who is a huge Cena fans
that would hinder him a little bit, right? But maybe we get Cena and Knight together versus Miz and somebody else. Maybe it's Waller, right?
I like that.
Maybe Theory comes back because Theory still has a major beef. He killed his career.
He didn't even. And poor Theory. Wasn't that the next match? Wasn't it?
That's the next match. That's the next match.
I led you right to it, baby.
Man, I'm sure Theory was like, dude, you could put LA Knight over like that. You couldn't put me over. Any time down. Well, this match I didn't care much about. What y'all think about Ray and LA? Yeah, Ray won.
I checked out on this one. What you got? Did you have anything, Rhodesia?
The only thing I have which was noticeable, Austin did wrestle with a little bit more intensity to the point where I felt like I was watching a little bit in fast forward, like a 1.2 fast forward. There was some times it was just a little bit more tighter, more like his suplexes, more like a snap suplex to Ray. So I thought he wrestled faster and with more intensity, which I liked. But overall, again, I really didn't care either. But I thought it was a good match actually. But he just moved faster, and that's something that I found interesting. I don't know what that means. If maybe he thought he had to go faster with somebody like Ray, or if he's trying to prove that I can go something to himself. I don't know. But I did notice that.
I don't have anything for this match. It was what it was. Just whatever.
Yep.
I don't know what's next for Theory.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of different things they can do with Ray. When the LWO came out with Ray, I was like, okay, well, they're not turning tonight, because then that just wouldn't make sense. But what's next for Theory? He is so miscast, man. They showed he actually put it up on Twitter, which maybe he's about to turn face, but he actually put up a video yesterday, a couple hours before Payback, of him meeting some kids. Like I said, at meet and greet, and like, dude, seems like the nicest guy in the world.
A sweetheart.
Playing with the kids and doing the A-Town down. I was like, that's the guy that evidently you are, because of that is not translating to a star on television right now. And you look at him, it's like, dude, this guy has everything. He's got the total package. He's got the looks. He's got the physicality. He doesn't come across as who he's supposed to be on TV as being that person. So maybe a face turn comes. It was a interesting camera shot of him after the match, of like disappointment. So maybe we see him turn. I don't know, but yeah, from a match, it was cool. Was what it was. We can move on if y'all don't have anything else.
Hey, I wouldn't mind seeing him team up with maybe Waller. They have similar characters. They had an alright chemistry last week.
Yeah, on Friday night. Yeah, I tweeted. I was like, "Look, is Grayson Waller and the guy that, or no, I was like, it's Austin Theory and the guy that does Austin Theory better than Austin Theory." That's what I think about. That's what I think about Grayson Waller, man. I think he's a better Austin Theory in every way.
Yeah.
Before we leave Austin Theory, I think like back when I first met him or was introduced to Austin Theory, it was in Evolve, and he was a bad guy. And I remember how great of a bad guy he was. I just think it's time for him to take that next step in his career development. And I actually would be all there for a face Austin Theory. I think, like you said, he looks great. He has everything that if you had to make them in the shop, boom, this could be your face of the company. Maybe not the number one face, but I could absolutely see him being a big face within the company. And I'll be there all for it too.
He was with Priscilla Kelly, and they were money together.
Yeah.
In Evolve. Yeah.
And I think maybe that's probably why Cena probably, when he told him at Mania, you're not a heel. That's probably what he whispered to him. So that's probably just, if we fast forward now.
We don't believe
like,
you. You need more people.
Yeah, you need to be a face. You a face. Stop acting like this heel. You a face. And it takes so much more to be a good face than it is to be a bad guy. We know that. It's easy to say, oh, forget you crowd and get a reaction, versus actually coming another way with it. It's incredible, and it's hard to make a good face. We all know that. I don't need to bore y'all with that, but if we can get Austin Theory to be a baby face, I will be there for it.
I had to see it, guys. I'm not necessarily here for that, but you know what I was here for was that street fight, that Steel City street fight for the WWE Tag Team Championships. What a match that was, guys.
My goodness.
What a match. Tell me, man, give me your impressions on this match.
Man, so if you guys remember, I said I ain't really looking forward to this match. I know the match is going to be great, but I really don't care just because blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. They made me care.
Yeah.
And the match also exceeded expectations, and I knew it would be good. That was the most hardcore match we've seen from WWE in years.
Yeah.
And take out Dom with his shoot elbow to KO and spliced him right open.
KO looked like he was in a scary movie from that cut open.
Yep. Yeah, it was a clean elbow, of course by mistake. But that just shows, like, with those elbow strikes, how easy it is to split somebody open. And KO knew it immediately. As soon as he did it, he touched himself to look. And Crimson Mask, as JR used to say on KO. Surprised by the finish.
I was
surprised only because I thought the KO Sammy tag team run with the titles was very underwhelming. That's why. And I'm like, okay, they need like a staple win before they drop the titles. And that didn't happen. Judgment Day, we talk about it a lot, man, but imagine where these guys were a year and a half ago. And now they are walking out of a pay-per-view, everybody has a title. You gotta love that. You have to love that, and they all deserve it too. They all absolutely deserve it. But man, that match, I could see somebody saying that was their match of the year.
Yeah,
not mine's, because I still think. Yeah, I still think maybe the steel cage match was better than that. I would have to go back and watch, maybe. And it's, like, I don't know, but they did that. Those two were the matches of the card, for sure.
Two words from our recap of that match: beautiful chaos. You know what you get with a, like, what was it called? The Steel City Street Fight, whatever it's called. You know, when those type of gimmick matches, what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of chaos. You're going to get a lot of spots, a lot of interference. Everything was produced so well. They even had a costume change. So somebody like me, I love that. I'm like, hold on. You over here bleeding out for life. And you had enough time to switch into hockey gear. But just overall, beautiful chaos. And this is when it's done right. Bravo to all of them. And the spear Rhea did. Love it.
Man, how good did she look last night? Her old to China, she did China well. But Phenomenal. She is, man.
Yeah, as I started off, great tag team match. And of course, I love the ending, right? Because I didn't want to see those guys break up. Now they got all to go. We talked about them having all to go before. Like, yo, these guys, they need to have all to go to be as dominant of a faction as they seem to be, right? Because they're all over the place. Great match, man. And they had I felt like it was a great ending because I felt like, man, they had so many run-ins and they were overcoming the run-ins one after another. Like, oh, man, Sammy's going to do this. Sammy's going to win this, and Finn's going to lose again, right? It's about to be over for these guys, man. Take the L out of Lover. It's over, baby. And here comes Dirty Dom. Out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, right? Cause I didn't even see him coming. Boom, with the Money in the Bank briefcase, right? The first time that damn thing won the match for him. Cracked him over the head, pinned him, 1, 2, 3, out of there.
Man,
I don't know who produced that match. I forgot who produced the women's match. So kudos to them. But whoever came up with that finish, bravo, to your point. That it was such a smart, logical finish. And then I loved Finn's reaction when he comes to and he's just like, what happened? We won? Like, it was great.
We won?
It was awesome. Man. Definitely worth, if we weren't paying, $5 for Peacock or $10, whatever it is, if that was a pay-per-view, regular $50, I would say, hey, order the replay for that match. That's a match worthy of even though you know who won, you got to go back and see the entire match and how they did it. I think it may have been Michael Hayes.
Okay.
Actually, I think it was Michael Hayes who laid out that match. Did incredible.
Okay, if you think about it, up until this point, we had a great opener. Right, I enjoyed the interaction with Cena and Miz, and we didn't talk about it briefly, but Cena asking Miz for hosting tips, right? Like I enjoyed that. The match was fine. It was cool. I can skip the Rey Mysterio match, right? But then we get this awesome tag team match. The match itself was great, right? And then for me as a fan, it was a very satisfying ending. Like up until this point, I'm like, this is a great pay-per-view.
So,
right?
Before we move on, what's next for KO and Sammy, and then what's next for Judgment Day?
KO and Sammy can go bye-bye for a little bit. I don't know.
Y'all want everybody to leave. Y'all want Trish to leave. Y'all want KO
I did say
we have 5 hours.
I wanted Trish to fight, and I said I want Trish to go after Zoe.
He wants Trish to go home.
I want to just for a little bit. Come back.
Sammy KO, they can go away for a month.
I don't want a rematch. I'll tell you that.
I do not want a rematch.
They have
again,
all
that was the exclamation
the
point.
Probable cause for one.
Yeah, but
because they lost because of outside interference. But I don't want to see them again.
No,
right now.
That was a beautiful writing to the end of the story for them. Let that be. That was exclamation
JD with Judgment Day.
Gotta be
early as that maybe Monday.
Yeah, gotta be. right? Has to.
He showed his allegiance.
Not yet.
Yeah.
He took that table spot. So terrible.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. He doesn't have a character yet. We don't know who he is and what he's about yet. When we start seeing seeds of what kind of character he's going to be, if he can, because it has to lead to him joining the group or further fractioning, Finn away from the group to do something else. Mm-hmm. With him, I'm thinking. It'll be interesting, but I don't think we know who JD is just yet. But for KO and Sammy, I wouldn't mind just seeing them go away for maybe like a month and come back and regroup. Like maybe we were invested in the chase for the championships, and then once they got the championships, it was and this happens to a lot of baby faces in general.
Sure does.
Like, right? It's like, hey, we're invested in the chase, and then once they accomplish the goal, things kind of cool off. So maybe we can get reinvested into the chase, and if they get the championship again, maybe we'll be more invested in the championship title matches, because I thought we might be getting some kind of a Street Profits in KO Sammy type of deal. And that's something we have to talk about on another show too, because it ain't working for me just yet. What I'm seeing between them guys yet. That's a long conversation, right? That's a long conversation.
I think we're 90 minutes in right now.
Put that down on the docket on Wednesday, because man,
we gotta talk about it.
Man, and I thought sitting there Friday, I was like, maybe I'm being overly harsh on Montez. But man,
he looked great though. He looked great.
Looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out who you are and please stick to it. What are you? Are you a face? Are you a heel? Are you a tweener? You can't come out here looking like $1 million and being menacing, and Bobby hyping you up, and then now you're back to joking and over the top.
Hey, but he went on. Hey, Dawkins was right there with him, man. But hey, let's put it to the side, because we'll talk about it. We're big fans of those guys, right?
But you did mention he got the KO and Sammy got the title, and then it was like, all right, well, hey, the chase a lot of times is better than when you become a champ. Mm-hmm. Cody was up next on the Grayson Waller effect, and I think they did him perfectly by not giving him the title. But it's just me, Oos. Day one is. It's just me, Oos. Let's go, Jay.
Let's go, main event.
Let's try to make some sense out of this. I love the segment. But there could be some plot holes. We don't have to go too deep, because what I want to get deep into is the Jimmy SmackDown. But before we get to the Jimmy on SmackDown, let's talk about Jay, Cody. What'd you guys think about Cody cashing in his political chips and bringing Jey Uso back to the Raw brand?
Surprised, because I thought that Jay was a quit, but I guess he just quit SmackDown. So there you go.
Well, he also quit WWE, but
I thought he quit everything, but then whatever.
It's just me, Oos. Day one is. It's just me, Oos.
But here's the thing, though. When you got a contract, you can't just quit. So he could say, hey, I'm quitting SmackDown, I'm quitting WWE, but they ain't got to give it to him. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But I thought the segment overall worked really well. Cody came out there and acknowledged the common tropes of these type of shows. Right? Like, you expect me to go down the common trope of what these shows are and what we're going to do, right? And we're like, hey, no, I don't want none of that. He's like, I don't want none of that. I ain't here to fight, right? And then, nice, Cody brings out Jay, right? What I did like is that, it wasn't like this big old hug, and smile between Cody and Jay, right?
Yeah.
Cody kind of like, yo, man, you put me through it. You cost me my win, right?
It was the perfect acknowledgement of the head nod, the eye contact of, okay, we good. Because even Cody was like, hey, this may backfire. This may be a dumb decision, but this is what I decided to do. I guess now they are going to try to hold this off until Mania, Jimmy and Jay.
Okay.
Because
shows, right?
now they're keeping them apart. If you're going to put Jay on Raw by himself, and Jay's got a major opportunity to prove his worth as a single star.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I thought. And then the music, he had that place rocking.
He did.
He had that place rocking. I'm like, if he can keep that momentum up, that's a big shot in the arm for Raw. That's a big shot in the arm for them. It's going to be interesting to see now, though, like, this is the first time he's ever been away from
all of the bloodline.
Because even when he was hurt, Jimmy went on a singles run years ago, but that was Jimmy. I don't think Jay's ever had a singles run. So to be able to see him interact where there is no Roman, no Jimmy at all, no Heyman, he is completely by himself. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm down for it. I can see somebody saying like, hey, this didn't make sense. Okay, I get that too, but I'm all for that. What I'm not all for, though, was Friday we saw on SmackDown. I got to get your guys' thoughts on. I thought Jimmy did fantastic with everything they gave him. But in every interaction he had on SmackDown, he was made to look like a chump. I hated that. And then, are we back at square one with him wanting back in or getting back into the bloodline?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one.
I think it kind of makes sense for in one regard. All right, so Roman's going to be off TV for some time, but he's still going to be on SmackDown, right? Solo doesn't have the same Roman contract, so they have to do something with Solo. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of natural that there will be some kind of interaction with Jimmy and the rest of the old group, right? They can't. So the good thing about getting Jay away from SmackDown is that it's kind of like what they kind of try to do with Ray. Like Ray, like, hey man, look, I'm leaving Raw. I'm going to SmackDown. I don't want no parts of Dominic. Right? That's my family. We're not doing this. I'm gone. Right? That's kind of what they doing with Jay. Jay, like, yo, I don't want none of this family drama anymore. Y'all can have all this, right? Bring him to Raw, different show. He doesn't have to intermingle with those guys on a consistent basis, right? But Jimmy has to. He's on Roman's show. Like Paul Heyman's going to be there. Solo's going to be there. And it wouldn't make, I feel like it would insult my intelligence if he didn't interact with them in some type of way.
I do have a question though. I believe that was SmackDown, when Solo had said to Jimmy, you're not out of the bloodline till we say you're out of the bloodline.
Yeah.
I thought they already kicked him out the bloodline. Or was that Jay that they kicked out the bloodline?
So he just said about insulting intelligence. I think this storyline is starting to insult our intelligence because Jimmy was the one that fired the first shot at Roman with the super kick.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you throwing the one up now? It doesn't make logical sense. You were the reason why this started. Jay never wanted to break up the bloodline. You did this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay got down with you and said, if you out, I'm out too. Has the match. They beat Roman. Now he goes one-on-one with Roman. He loses because of Jimmy's interference. Jimmy cuts a promo and said, this ain't about the bloodline. This ain't about Roman. Roman, you can go to hell. This is about my brother. I ain't want him turning into you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Jay super kicks him, says, I'm out of WWE. Jimmy comes back, and now Jimmy wants to be back down with the bloodline because Solo says, you're not out the bloodline until we say you're out the bloodline. That doesn't make sense. As much as this...
Jimmy doesn't want to be part of them. He said, no, I'm out.
He did until Friday on SmackDown.
Wait, no, he said, no, I'm good. And he walked away from Solo.
No. So what happened was they had the face-off with Mia and Jimmy, which Jimmy was fantastic with that. Then AJ comes to Mia's defense and says, hey, we're going to, do this thing. And then Solo jumps AJ.
Yeah.
And then Solo tells Jimmy, you're not out the bloodline until we say you're out the bloodline. Jimmy then helps Solo beat AJ. He hugs Solo.
Oh, you know what? I didn't
Solo
see the
hugs
end of
him.
it.
Yep, Solo hugs him. And then he's about to hit him with the thumb. He's about to thumb his own cousin. That's nasty. Heyman tells him, nope, chill out. Don't do that. They walk away, and Jimmy's throwing the one up in the ring as the show goes off the air. That's illogical. We've put this storyline over more than any other storyline in the history of wrestling. We got to call BS when it's time to call BS. And it feels like they are running in circles now. If that's the answer to let's draw this out until WrestleMania to get to Jimmy and Jay, that's horrible. That was rough. That was, I was like, this ain't it.
I said, to me, I was just confused. So seeing main event Jay on Raw was a surprise, like a pleasant surprise. What I remember from SmackDown with Jimmy, that was just like a little bit, okay, unless you have some master plan behind this that my minuscule mind can't figure out quite yet, I don't get this.
You know what, man? Like it's so many wrestling shows. I swear to God, I thought I finished the rest of that damn show. I thought it's so much wrestling that's on TV. That's the thing about watching everything, man.
Yeah.
I can swear to God I watched that. But now that you guys say that, I didn't see the last the main event match. I don't know, man. Look.
That's all you can say, really.
I can't call it, man.
No.
But you know what? Here's the thing. Like when I listen to Jimmy's new music, right, which is a remix of Day One. Jay's
it's
music
is
another remix, right?
I love Jimmy's music though.
But it has like it has a little bit of a Romans, a little element of it,
it's like
right,
perfect,
along with it.
Like
it's like a little mix. Yeah, I watch that. But like these, I like both songs actually, but it kind of makes me sad, man, because that's my favorite tag team. Broke apart. I'm like, damn, these guys. You know, he says just me. I'm like, oh man, it's just me. It's just me, man.
I was thinking, ever since SummerSlam, I thought we were getting Uso in every corner at Survivor Series. Do they maybe switch that to Cody and Jay versus Jimmy and Solo?
Hold on, let's see. Cody, Jay, Solo, Jimmy. At Survivor Series? Mm-hmm. So that gives us 2 full months to get there. Okay. Yep. Because again, because we're staying with Cody going against Roman and Mania, right? Is that kind of what we're building to? So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. It's very interesting, so I don't know if Bray was going to be the next challenge for Cody to overcome, but it doesn't seem like Cody has a storyline currently, right? He's kind of just floating in the wind a little bit. It'd be interesting if that's what the next step would be for him. The Bloodline whole feud thing here, man, for me, it's kind of like unwinding a little bit in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like with Jimmy, he obviously turned heel on the crowd because we fully are behind Jay being a baby face. We want to see him do well. And Jimmy kind of comes in and puts a stop to that. And in some ways, it's a heel move because he's saying he's doing it to help him. But that's just really a heel who's kind of like, trying to explain like their hellish deeds. Like, right? So he's a bad guy, right? The Bloodline, they're still bad guys. So I guess it will be natural that they will kind of find themselves back together again because they're both evildoers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, I don't know. It's just not necessarily hitting for me. But maybe they can bring Cody back into it. We get some Cody and Jay versus Solo and Jimmy. That might be interesting. But I don't know, guys. I'm just kind of like on to wait and see. I'm not as hype on the Bloodline storyline as I was, like, say, 4 months ago.
Hell, you can't be.
No.
Because the shit like we didn't have plot holes like this before. And I know there's a segment of fans that feel like the Bloodline story has not been as good as we think it has. Sammy brought a ton to it, and when Sammy left, it wasn't. Bloodline story has been fantastic throughout. It is now at a point where, all right, it's starting to sputter. And it's starting to sputter a little too much. Make it make sense, please. I would appreciate it on SmackDown, but you can't make it make sense. This can't make sense.
My last thing I'm going to say on
now
this.
that he started this entire thing, and now he's cool with being back in.
The only way that I can rectify this right now is that they're purposely trying to keep Jimmy under Jay as far as character and storyline. That's the only way that this can make sense. But if you want to bring them at Mania, they need to be the same. But right now, that's the only way that I can again balance this equation is that Jay is meant to be a tier A wrestler, and you gotta build Jimmy to be a tier B.
and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like, once again, everything he did on Friday was great for him. He had a really strong promo segment with Cena. He was great in the backstage segments, but every single segment he was made to look like a chump, and that I didn't like that. It didn't make sense. Now you can say
he's a heel. He's a
but,
heel,
but
and
that,
heels.
but you also can say
like,
he needs the bloodline, because look what happened as soon as he wasn't around the bloodline. He gets chumped out by Cena. He gets chumped out by AJ. You know what I mean? You could say that Pierce, chumps him out, but that's not. He's worked too hard. He's been put in too much of a limelight to be one of the top guys in the company for 2 years, for that to be his solo segment, or his the first time of us seeing him by himself with his new music, who he is, and that's what happens. Is super, super dumbfounded.
But has he been built to be anything other than what we're seeing?
He's never been built to be a chump like that. He just he looked like he came across as a chump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
But winding down, we got two matches left. For me, these were good matches, but I don't really have a lot for them. We had the Women's World Championship, Raquel versus Rhea. What'd you guys think?
I really didn't get to see a lot of this match, unfortunately.
So I was really excited for this match. It was. I didn't think it was. It was there. It was cool. So Ray, in theory, Rhea, Raquel, Seth, and Shinsuke was in your house. Everything else was Payback. Everything else was a premium live event, full price show. The last two matches, to me, it was solid. It was just solid. I knew what I see what they were going for with Rhea and Raquel. To me, it just didn't make for a great match. To your point, E, I don't really have much on it. Rhea wins, of course. Beats her clean in the middle. And that was kind of like it. I was like, okay, all right. I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but whatever. No harm, no foul. And then we get to the main event, and it was the same thing. And I think even the crowd knew there was no chance of Shinsuke winning, because the crowd didn't get up for some of the spots that I thought they would have. And it was the same thing to me. That was a really good Raw main event. That was it. I love the promo package they showed with the cartoon beforehand. That was killer. I think the feud is still going after the cameras cut. Shinsuke jumped Seth again, so I'm guessing maybe the feud continues, which is fine, which is okay. Maybe we get some type of gimmick match or something like that in
a rubber band match, right?
No, not yet. We only 2 in, pal. Relax.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I just thought the last 2 matches were just okay.
Same, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did like the ending spot on the women's championship match. Dirty Dom comes in there, help save his woman, right? And then Raquel showed her strength, that she was able to, power slam a grown man, but that turned into her taking the riptide. So that was kind of cool. But you know what?
Great sell by Dom too. Dom sold that like he got shot.
Oh yeah, it's good, man. Dirty Dom does a good job, man. And the tag team. I mean, and as you said about the Seth and Naka, I love like the video packages. If they can continue to do video packages like that for Shinsuke, I think they definitely will make him more of a credible heel. And it's just that they didn't have enough time to build him into a credible enough challenger to make you think that, okay, he can take the
that he had a chance to take a championship. Yeah. Exactly. I think this street match, Steel Cage or Steel City street match, that's a tongue twister, and I think the Steel Cage match, they just stole the show. I really feel that way. So everything else felt like a letdown, because I think if we go back to look at those final 2 matches, we probably would give them a B or maybe A minus, but it was just what we saw in those other 2 matches just so super exceeded anything I would have thought of. And that's why I feel this way about the final 2 matches.
And I think too, the final 2 matches, we knew Raquel had no shot.
Right.
And then we knew even more that she had no shot when they won the tag titles. Judgment Day won the tag titles. Yeah. That was almost like a ending pay-per-view shot. when they had them and
Yep.
they had
Yeah,
everything.
all
They
the
had
time.
Yeah, all the
gold.
belts, all the belts
And that
everywhere.
shot,
Yep.
and I'm like, that would be a way you can end this show. It would have been great if maybe they would have done Raquel and Rhea before the tag match.
Because I told you I actually saw the matches out of sequence originally. I saw the tag team match first because of how they did the replay. So when I saw Rhea come down and do the spear, like I assumed she already wrestled her match.
She got you. Yeah.
Right? Because like, this you wouldn't put her on twice like that, right? Like you would want to get that initial reaction for her coming out for her interest and everything. I would assume that they already did that when she came out and did that spear. And so then we got that shot with them holding all the gold. I'm like, yeah, that looks like a finishing shot.
Right.
But then I'm like, I actually watched the show back in order. I'm like, oh, she hasn't had the match yet. Okay, that's interesting.
It's a good spot for them, right? Co-main event spot. I get it. Maybe you don't want to put this should never be a thing, but maybe you don't want to put the women's matches too close together so we don't compare. I don't know, but when I just knew like, okay, now we know Damian is not going to cash in or even threaten to cash in the Money in the Bank for the main event. And for me, that was the hook. That was the entire hook of that match. Because I knew Shinsuke wasn't going to beat Seth. I'm like, well, maybe something happens with the briefcase. So when the tag team title match happened for me, and then you go to the Grayson Waller effect, and we had Jay, if you would have stopped the show right there, for me, I would have been like, man, the show was probably like 8.5, 9 out of 10. With the last two matches, and once again, they were okay. They were just okay. I probably have this show at about. I mean, those two matches are really, really strong. Mm-hmm. So I would probably still give it maybe about a 7.5.
From what I saw, I'll probably say an 8.
Yeah, I would give it an 8.5 because, like I said, like the opener. So, like if we think about it, we joked about this being an in your house card prior to watching it. So expectations for the show are already kind of low. And that's really based on the build and the storylines going into most of these matches. And I think the opener with the women over-delivered, right?
Yep.
I think that then you have the Cena, LA Knight, Miz, very entertaining.
Yep.
And then you have the tag team match, which is amazing.
Yep.
Like, right? It was definitely in the conversation for match of the year, at least for tag team matches. It definitely would have had to been. Right. And then we had then we had
all right, I'll go ahead.
Cody and Jay, right? But the last two matches, we knew going into them that they didn't have much behind those matches. Right? Because Rhea is heads and shoulders better than everybody in that division outside of Becky and Trish, but based on their storyline, we haven't been invested in those two women. So Rhea's is a killer. There's nobody coming close to her. And Naka, you just can't make him credible enough of a title in then that short of a period of time. So we knew that was it. So I think the card and show over delivered up until those last two matches. And for me, I was still enough of a positive high to where I was okay with the rest of it. So I'll give it probably an 8.5.
Okay. It was funny because I was so high on the show before the last two matches that I was like, in H we trust. I said that to myself. I was like, I got to stop talking about what may not be worth watching and blah, blah. And then when we got to the last two matches, I was like, okay, no, it kind of came back down to earth. It came back down to earth a little bit for me with those last two matches. But if anybody hasn't seen it, absolutely is worth watching the replay on Peacock. I don't think it's a show outside of Cody bringing out Jay and Judgment Day winning the tag titles. It's not a show that's going to be talked about probably again in WWE. You know what I mean? Like there's some shows where you keep harkening back to that show. I think outside of those two things, there isn't much that they'll go back to and revisit either on commentary or from maybe like a storyline perspective, which is fine.
Yeah, the
Every
show itself,
can't be
no.
massive.
But a couple matches, yes, like you said.
Yep. All right, guys. So, man, almost 2 hours, and almost half of that was.
Thank y'all for staying and listening.
Yep. So we will be back on Wednesday. You guys know Rhodesia and I will be, of course, at All Out. So we'll break that down on Wednesday. We'll talk about the Street Profits, and I also got a couple other things I want to talk about with you guys too. Some fun topics that we can get into.
And I have a fun topic to talk about too.
Give us a teaser.
I guess it's not really that fun. It's just though comparing the top women in wrestling compared to the top men in wrestling, and are they actually better than the men, but kind of have like this thing because they're a female. So I'd like to get your input on that. And that was from Twitter. That was a Twitter question.
It's a deeper question than what it may seem like on the surface. Yeah, so that may be something to look at. And E showing off Trish, the sign Trish pop. We out of here. Rhodesia, last time you got mad at me. You started this show off by saying that I cut you off last time. And I want to make sure I don't do that again this time. Because I respect you. I love you. I don't want any issues. Is there anything you need to say to the folks before we get out of here?
Enjoy this Labor Day
Psych,
weekend.
I'm joking. Peace. We'll see you guys later.